So there's been quite a bit of discussion in the news lately, and I've chimed in on a few stories as well regarding the murder hornets. And I wanted to mention this because I actually study these hornets along with collaborators in China, in fact. We have a block here that I'll just mention in a moment with some of these hornets in them. Anyway, they are fascinating social insects. They have complex life cycles and colonies. And the main thing I want to emphasize is, number one, we don't actually know the extent of the invasion, how bad this is. There's a lot of overreaction going on. People are reportedly killing bees that they think are hornets. Number two, in addition to needing more data, we need to kind of step back and reevaluate the undercurrent of why this is being popularized as a murderous insect, instead of simply being another invasive insect or simply being another predator. So I think the bottom line is they're not murderers, they're just hungry. They are like any other predator that is out there. This is the guy that everyone is really getting upset about and all the fussing and the fighting is about. This is Vespa mandarinia. This is what's called the Ocular Hornet. It's the largest hornet in the world, and it is quite formidable, especially if you compare it with my hand. You can see right here, this tiny little insect in comparison is Apis mellifera, the honeybee. So you can see that when this guy attacks this guy over here, there's quite a size disparity and they're quite ferocious. One problem is that a single Vespa mandarinia, or a couple of them, can effectively kill a small honeybee colony within a day. They don't necessarily simply want to eat the adult workers. Their main prize is actually the juicy grubs and larvae that are living inside the colony. So what they can do is, if they're attacked only one by honeybees, they will kill those honeybees one by one, and then once the defense force is gone, and we're talking about hundreds to thousands of bees, they can go in and then rob the colony. Which, if you think about it, is a fairly remarkable and maybe violent sort of behavior, but on the other hand, it's what they've naturally evolved to do. And, speaking of which, honeybees, those species that have co-evolved with the hornet, and this is one of the things that we study in China, these bees are able to do something called heat balling, where basically when you have this big hornet coming to the nest entrance, the bees will attack it and then form a ball where they completely encapsulate the hornet. In this case, it would take probably about 80 to 90 bees, and the bees start vibrating, generating heat with their thoracic muscles, and also in this process they're respiring, so they're increasing the carbon dioxide content. And so what they end up doing is both suffocating the hornet to death and also overheating it, cooking it to death. Now, you might think that this is a fairly suicidal strategy, but keep in mind that when a honeybee stings you, she dies. She loses her stinger inside of you. So even if they die because they're trying to defend their colony against the hornet, it's part of the normal sacrifice they would make to defend their colony. So speaking about some of the hobbies that I've been focusing on or developing, one of them is growing things. And I think that my mushroom fancy has now really turned into, oh, I wouldn't say an obsession, but it's really fascinating. So these are my shiitake mushrooms. As you can see, they're doing really well. And they have this really amazing taste, and I think it's almost like an interesting biology project. In fact, I would kind of recommend this to parents who have kids at home, or anyone who's really interested in fungi, that it's so easy to get this, grow it, and taste the delicious results. If you take a look at this video, what you see looks like smoke, but it's actually the spores, the reproduction of the mushrooms gradually rising into the air. It's incredible to me because I've never seen this before, and so now I know they're ready to harvest.